That's out of the North Bay Nugget. Now, here's some of the real news that's not getting a lot of attention. This is out of Reuters. Lower Mexico flu death toll heartens nervous world. Mexico cuts suspected flu death toll to 101, but they officially say it's 12. WHO says flu spans 15 countries, 615 people infected. In other articles, they say thousands. U.S. responding aggressively to flu outbreak, Obama. China, it goes on, it says, new laboratory data shows fewer people have died in Mexico than first thought from a new influenza strain. A glint of good news. A glint? It's all good news. From a world rattled by the threat of pandemic flu. Mexico cut its suspected death toll from H1N1 flu to 101, from as many as 176 as dozens of test samples came back negative. There you go. Continuing, a reporter down there up on Infowars.com, federal troops deployed against influenza protesters in Mexico City. And then I went and looked it up because my wife can read Spanish. Went and looked it up. And it is true, the police are going after people locked down in the city of 28 million in the main city, 35 million total metro in Mexico City, those hundreds of square miles there in that valley, surrounded by these mountain ranges, and they need food and water. They've run out. The stores are empty. Stuff is breaking down. The people are starting to protest, and there's the video up on Infowars.com of masses of federales loading up with riot gear to go out and go after them. So they've locked the city down to test a quarantine to control the population. Oh, and here's a key point I keep forgetting to make. This is so important. Listen to me carefully, and please make this point everywhere else. And please make this point when you call the White House. I'm going to give the White House number out coming up later in the show. I want everybody to call them. We're going to call them on air as well. 202-456-1111. And it's this. They said last Sunday in Napolitano, Homeland Security head's briefing, she said to everybody out there, she said, there is no need to shut down the border or shut down flights or anything, because it's already spread everywhere and there's no way to stop it anyways. And besides, a newer, worse flu's coming anyways. Very cryptic. That's on records. Reuters reported it. You can also go online and watch her press conference. Now, you've got that little piece of news there for you. Okay? So we have that little tidbit. Now think about this. They are announcing on Fox and CNN and CBS and everywhere. This is all up on the Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com if you want to see it. They're announcing everywhere that if the outbreak continues and that if level 6 is declared, blah, 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 but level 5 says they can do this with their fraudulent, declarations of tyranny, that they're going to lock down buildings, hotels, cities, states, whatever they want, and that there'll be army blocking those. This is a martial law takeover lockdown drill. Just like New Orleans, they had high and dry roads out of the city for the people to get out, and the army would sit there with the police and on record would shoot people trying to leave. And there's all those famous videos. Oath Keepers actually put one up from Fox, but put together a bunch of clips of it, them saying they could walk out right now, but they won't let them leave. Well, same thing in Mexico is being beta tested under martial law, as that place is on the verge of collapse. They're using this as a unifying effect. They're saying they're going to lock your towns and cities, potentially, if they want. They're saying we can do this if we want, and politically selling it. Because the public isn't buying the phony boogeyman, terrorists in a cave anymore as a reason to lock down the cities. This is something where we're all guilty. And the government gets to get involved in our lives and tell us what to do and tell us what to put in our bodies. That they're going to come forcibly inoculate us and put us in prison if we don't go along with what they say. Quarantine us, lock our cities down. They're already beta testing with hotels and airports and some people's homes in Texas and California. People are on quarantine with police out front, keeping them on house arrest. Setting that precedent. Scaring everybody. We're all dead. It's going to get us. It could be the greatest threat of humanity. It could kill tens of millions. Oh, my God, it's all over. We need to be able to lock you down and have martial law. Martial law keeps you safe. Martial law is good. And by the way, there's been 12 deaths confirmed. And by the way, there's only a few hundred people that were sick with it. And by the way, it's not even that bad. But it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. So the border stays open, the airplanes keep flying, but we may have to lock your cities down, and Northcom's running it, and the Army will be on your streets. I mean, do you not see how they're doing this? Do you not see how they're operating? And you can go to this newspaper, El Universal, and listen to the audio, watch the video, read the articles. We've got an English article posted up on Infowars.com. You can go here and read about how their riot police, and you're not seeing this on the news, only bloggers and people are there. I mean, that is big U.S. news. It is in the Mexican news, to be clear, that they're going after the people demanding to not be locked down in the city and demanding that water and food and things be brought into the city. Now, here's an article, not fear-mongering. Sign points to milder swine flu outbreak than once feared. Well, don't tell CNN that. Here's Rice, separate issue. When the president approves it, it's not illegal. Same thing Nixon said, same thing Obama's saying. She just said that yesterday. Okay, let me go through the other news. I'm going to give out we're going to call the White House on air. I hadn't mentioned that. I'm going to call the White House myself on air. Coming up in a few minutes. Let me go over the martial law, what they're selling, what they're pushing, why this is so important. And folks, if you're watching this in a month on YouTube when it's got, 200,000 views or whatever, you call the White House too, because they're planning to run this in the fall or the winter. They're even saying it. This is great training for us to have Northcom and the military take over and lock the cities down and have forced inoculations for your safety when the next deadly flu hits this winter. So you need to call Obama and go, look, Jack, we know what you're doing. We know you're using this as the economy implodes as an excuse to put troops on the streets and bring in martial law and pose as our savior. This isn't working for you and the bankers. We're still going to try to get indictments on the Federal Reserve minions and bring you guys to justice. And Ron Paul's bill to abolish the Fed and his bill getting 87 sponsors now and growing. That was a week ago. I'm sure it's gotten more now. It keeps gaining. To audit the Fed. God forbid we actually look into the private bankers engineering the collapse of the society by design. Now, this is CBS News right here. DHS sets guidelines for possible swine flu quarantine. CBS News. Zoom in on this for me. They'll say it's not CBS News. Okay, now remember what Glenn Beck and others do. They always say that we're lying about executive orders allowing forced inoculations, roundups, arrest, youth brigades, and all this forced labor brigades. And they always will go back to old executive orders to debunk it. They'll go back to 11,000, 10,000, 12,000 series and then say, that executive order was overturned. Well, yeah, because each new president augments them and reissues them. Here's George W. Bush's. Okay, in effect now, this is CBS News, but see, they play a semantical lawyer game, and Popular Mechanics wrote a hit piece on us just 2 weeks ago saying there are not executive orders saying they can have a roundups and FEMA camps and all this. Look, this one from 40 years ago was overturned. They don't let you know they've all been reissued. See how the lawyer mind, little tricks, little scams they run. That's why Popular Mechanics won't come on this show, because I will eat their lunch. One time I heard one of their guys, the Megs, lying on the radio, and I called into the show. And I said, why won't you debate me? He wouldn't answer that. And I said, you say that not one U.S. Aircraft ever intercepted F-16s never intercepted any planes the year before 9/11 except for Payne Stewart. I have Reuters with NORAD saying they intercepted 167 in the year before. And he said, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to respond to you. I said, that's right, you son of a bitch. You're not going to because you're a damn liar. Piece of filth. I mean, you really make me sick. You're telling people these executive orders don't exist to pacify people, and you play games with it. Well, let's read out of CBS, you little bastard. Federal quarantine authority is limited to diseases listed in presidential executive orders. President Bush added novel forms of influenza with the potential to create pandemics in Executive Order 13375. In effect now, not overturned, not rewritten, not expanded. And 9 times out of 10, they don't overthrow these. They just expand them when a new president issues a new number. Federal quarantines authorities limited to diseases listed in presidential executive orders. President Bush added novel forms of influenza with the potential to create pandemics in Executive Order 13375. That exists, Hearst Publishing. You understand? 13375. Stick it in your ear. Anyone violating a quarantine order can be punished by a $250,000 fine and or 1 year in prison. You can go, here's Fox News clip. Fox News, martial law if it's a pandemic, forced inoculations, roundups, all of it. You can go watch the clip. If we have time, we'll play it at the end. There it is. Just Google Fox News, martial law if it's a pandemic. And you can go and you can watch it for yourself, okay? Telling you how great it is. Okay. So we got that going on here. And then, of course, you can actually read the UN say it, and they admit, Reuters, AP, that this country's under UN control. They are directing the response of the CDC and the states in Northcom. And you can go read where it says forced inoculations, that you have no rights. You can go read all of this for yourself. We've had this linked all week long up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?